Good evening, everyone. Thank you for watching, and it's right about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome. How's everyone doing? In case everyone knows, Disney's got like a big announcement going on right now. Like bunch of trailers that just came in. I'm gonna be adding a couple of new stuff into the content, so just take a look at it, and then we'll get things started. Let's see. As you know, at the headline says, we're gonna simply talk about Jimmy Kimmel first, and then we'll go from there. Let's see. Kimmel first, and then we'll go from there. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is Jimmy Kimmel returns to Jimmy Kimmel Live with record 6.3 million viewers despite affiliate preemptions. So as you know, a couple of days ago, like Jimmy Kimmel, like said something about Charlie Kirk. I'm not gonna get too detailed about the politics because that's already a heated thing going on. I already shared my opinions about how I feel about this. Like couple of live videos before. So it's just going to be like a general statement right here. He was suspended. Well, he was in quote indefinite suspension over his remarks about the Charlie Kirk's death and then the MAGA movement thing. And due to that, Disney ended up these Disney and ABC ended up asking him to leave the show, and uh they kind of announced that he's like indefinitely leaving, and uh a lot of people were very upset. Obviously, like that kind of censors us their freedom of speech and so forth, and that kind of like caused a massive backlash within Disney as a company. Like over $4 billion of revenue were lost, and then a lot of people, unsubscribe, and then they cancel the reservation, and like everything has been like a pretty disastrous right there. And even Michael Eisner spoke on the social media, and then had his opinion about Disney making a mistake about firing Jimmy Kimmel, and so forth. So after a couple of days, all that disaster happened. Disney and ABC announced that Kimmel was coming back to the show, despite the Nexstar and Sinclair refusing to put him up on air in their own channels. Um, if for those who do not know, Nexstar and then the Sinclair Broadcast Group are kind of like a conservative party, so they kind of are like don't want to support Jimmy Kimmel, and then at the same time, they kind of demanded Jimmy Kimmel to apologize and like for saying like awful stuff about like their MAGA as well as Charlie Kirk, and Disney's ref- ended up like saying, you know what, we don't care, go for it, just do the streaming, let's see what happens. And by all means, like that was like the biggest like huge view counts that I witnessed within Jimmy Kimmel's show. Like I think that was like a 6.3 million viewers. It was like the largest view in such a long time for Jimmy Kimmel's and it was through streaming too. And then Jimmy Kimmel, like during his monologue, he says he talked about Donald Trump. He says, "Can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back." He knows bad ratings. He has some of the worst rating any president has ever had. That was a pretty good monologue. To tell you the truth, he had a really good monologue. He really had a good monologue. I don't really watch Jimmy Kimmel's show as much because like unless it's like Matt Damon and Jimmy Kimmel like feud thing. But aside from that, I'm kind of happy that he's back because it kind of shows that like there are such things as like satire and like humor and parody, and and to tell you the truth, like I personally like those type of satire and humor and joke. I'm not a big fan of right wingers like satire and jokes where they think that everything has to be funny when it comes down to like a bigotry or transphobic or like racism stuff. I just don't understand that type of stuff right there. You don't necessarily have to make those jokes to make yourself be funny. You can. And honestly, like mocking Donald Trump, there was no like, um, you know, racism or bigotry or like, or even anything like that's like a misogynist type of like insult or sexist insult. There's nothing like that. It was just straight up Donald Trump. He's an asshole. And he was just, like saying like, oh, at the end of the day, Donald Trump was like crying on his social media and like just like whining about like, oh, my fifis are hurt. Jimmy Kimmel is back. I'm gonna make sure that like he's gonna be shut down again. Blah 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 blah. And then the next day he was crying about United Nations and stuff like that. And then he started talking about Tylenol and autism. Like, how do you like that? This guy's like going nuts all throughout the whole week. I don't understand that. What are we doing here? Like this like 30% approval rating president is just like going out of nuts right here. He's just like, he did he like wet his diapers or what the fuck is going on? Like I don't understand that. Part of my French right here. Like I don't understand this. Like he needs to like grow a pair or something. Anyways, happy to see Jimmy Kimmel return. I hope that Nextel and the Sinclair are not going to affect him to be kicked out of the show, and I hope that Disney will not do any of this stunt again. To tell you, they shouldn't have done it to begin with. Like I feel like they damaged themselves like for no reason. It's just like they insulted like the audience, and I feel like they made their own damage. Uh, they shot themselves on the foot, and that's what happened. And now they're paying for it. I don't think maybe this is like a wake up call for them to just stick with whatever defend your employees in a certain ways, and this is the right way to defend your employees, and I think they should stick with it. Anyways, the next topic that we're going to talk about is Jared Bush. Yeah. um you know I've seen Jared Bush like multiple times at like the expo and then the Destination D23. Like this guy is just like on another level. He's so busy to a point that he's just like he kind of tweeted like back and forth a little bit, as I mentioned in like a previous couple days ago. He kind of like had a little Easter egg hint of what the Zootopia 2 is going to have, and that was like a Nick Wiles apartment that was supposed to be seen in Zootopia 1 that was never seen before. And he's saying that the 2 will definitely we'll talk about the like Nick Wiles apartment that he never filed taxes for. So we'll see what happens. I kind of am looking forward to the penthouse apartment maybe. Like Nick Wiles been not paying for his taxes, so like who knows? Like he might be living in a mansion, and he might not be. He might be living in like a penthouse like up on like a really luxurious hotel or apartment. Who knows? We don't know. But he actually, Jared actually kind of like mentioned he always like kind of like hints and talks about something like that he experienced. The couple of weeks ago, he actually mentioned about Disney Animal Kingdom, so Tropical Americas, and he was saying that how Imagineers did an amazing job with the Encanto, and that if we actually like experience it, we'll really love it. Now he actually tweeted something 2 days ago. He says, flying home from Europe and my plane home will be writing new dialogue, quote, quote, for the Encanto attraction at Disney Animal Kingdom, which means new words for the magical, fantastical, familiar madrigal. You will not believe what the Imagineers are cooking up. So, like, the way I see it, this ride is definitely going to be almost similar to like an Omnimover, or maybe, I don't know, like something similar to Beauty and the Beast from like Tokyo Disneyland, or possibly a little bit closer to a Little Mermaid ride at Walt Disney World. But as of right now, like it's the Tropical Americas, so we will probably see Mirabelle's cousin Lee Antonio's like the backgrounds of like jungle and animals and introductions, while also she's introducing her families. My biggest hope is that I hope that they will do something a little bit different for music. Maybe they can keep some of the musics right here. We don't talk about Bruno or Uncle to Magical Family, and then and like keep some of the music, but also like add another song that they these audience will have never seen before, like so that they can remember that this is a new song in the ride, and then they can sing and hum along in the very distant future. And that would be it. Yeah, Jared Bush, like he's cooking up. He's got like a lot of like Easter eggs and hints coming up every time. For those who do not know, like they just started like demolishing and constructing and everything. A lot of people were disappointed that they're doing this a little bit too late. They started like closing down Boneyard. They started demolishing Boneyard right now. So whatever the bones that are left, they're no longer gone. The archaeologists like packed up and left. Now the next one, uh, this is actually a post from Braden from the Mickey Views. People go to the most expensive theme parks because they're most themed. Moroccan mosaic tile can't become conventional tile. Medallions can't become stickers. Cheap decision can compound into a cheap product. If we excuse one molehill, soon there's 100 and everybody loses. Now, each of the posts were actually posted by like other creators such as Eric Chu, blogmickey.com, Magical Trash, and Bell. Um, as you know, everyone had a really outrage and were very upset about the whole Morocco pavilion tiles being changed from the old one, like like that had like a flowery and flashy colors and so forth, into um, a little bit more like bathroom tiles, is some people actually called it. I'm not gonna like fully disagree with that. It's a little bit different. The design is definitely not as flashy as the previous one, but I will say, I kind of like the color theme, but at the same time, I can see why people were upset about it. It's not as flashy, and I don't know too much about Morocco culture, so I don't want to get too into it and then like get in depth about like they should have done this or they should have done that. Like I think this is like something a little bit more art, designer, imagineer, and architect's job to actually see like what the design should be. I still believe that this area for the Morocco is just like a kind of like a temporary placeholder until they redo the whole theme, including the the redo of the whole Marrakesh cafe. I mean Marrakesh restaurant. For those who do not know, Marrakesh restaurant is a Morocco restaurant in Morocco Pavilion. It was originally like a table dining location that ended up becoming shut down, and annual pass lounge, or like even now Anthem Blue Cross lounge that only serves water and like a black coffee that is like overly cooked. But I feel like Morocco, like besides Tangerine Cafe, like that whole land is losing identity. I'm not even sure what's going on. Like it's been what, like about more than 2 years that they haven't found somebody to take over Marrakesh restaurant. And if they don't find anybody, that's gonna be like a big red flag eventually. Like I don't know what's going on, but you know, yeah, I heard a lot of good things about Morocco, like foods such as some people actually like Marrakesh restaurant. And then the what is it? Tangerine Cafe is always popular. So this land is not actually dead. I kind of make a joke about like if Morocco gets removed, I kind of want South Korea to come in, replacing that. With like Korean barbecue buffet and like a bunch of other stuff right there. But and then like some kind of exhibition or like a tourism area. I kind of wish that would happen, but we'll see what happens, I guess. But I kind of do want to hope. I kind of don't want this land to be replaced with something else. I kind of want the World Pavilion, World Showcase to be expanded bigger instead of like replacing a land by land every just because one country is like it feels like it's kind of dead. I kind of don't want that to happen. But yeah, and then it's kind of interesting because Magical Trash kind of like mentioned about something how uh World Showcase actually had a plated emblem attached to the trash cans, and then recently Bell kind of pointed out that the emblems were removed and replaced with like I guess like stickers or something like that. And to tell you the truth, I don't even know what's going on that then. I had like, how do you say like how, what do you make of this? Like I just don't understand that. Like, like, are they cutting corners, or are they? What are they doing? Like, are they like kind of like did the plate kind of fall off? So they are they like retracting back the trash cans, so they can attach it back, or like, or are they doing a new thing? Because the sticker, like as you can see, that sticker looks kind of you just printed from like a local laser jet or something, or like Staples, and you're just kind of posting it on top of it. I kind of do agree. Some people were kind of like disappointed about that, but but I think another thing that I disagree with some of the folks who said like expressed their opinions. Some people were saying like this is the reason why I don't come to Disney World anymore. I kind of disagree about that. I feel like just because trash can has a doesn't have the plated emblem attached to the trash can anymore, that you don't want to go back to the park. I just don't understand that logic right there. People just say like whatever they want to say and spout things on social media, and I just think it's kind of stupid, and that's just my opinion. Um, y- it's ridiculous that they're cutting corners and then like putting stickers on top of it, but it won't stop me from going to the park. That just doesn't make any sense. I'd rather like like ask the guest services or like cast member, hey, like what's going on with this plate? Like, are you guys going to fix it or something like that? But I wouldn't like rant about it on social media like anybody cares and say, oh, this is like this destroyed my magic of wanting to go back to the park over trash can. Yeah, I just don't understand that part. Like, if you don't want to go, then don't go, man. Like, that makes no sense to me. And my friend Drew Smith, Drew Disney dude, actually, announced and then other like social media accounts have announced that officially the Star Wars launch bay have permanently closed today, which is like like one of the attractions that nobody ever cared about. Like nobody really wanted to see this like stay for a long time. I've been here once and I never understood what this attraction was. I felt like I was in a museum and never really understood why they kept it, because you have a Galaxy's Edge on the far other side of it, and then you have Star Wars Launch Bay, um, which now like you don't see a lot of like stormtroopers marching down there back and forth anymore, and it does feel like a museum now. It's more of a gallery museum, and there's like a little screening, like where you can sit down and watch, but it's nearly deserted and empty. And everyone has been always talking about how Star Wars Launch Bay could do something different for once. For those who did not know, this area is going to be replaced with this Disney animation studios that will replace it, and I'm actually looking forward to that. So I'm kind of wondering, once they remove the whole like decorations, logos, and whatever is behind right there, are they gonna replace it and bring back Mickey's magic, you know, sorcerer's hat on top of it, like the one that was right in the middle of the Disney Hollywood Studios? They put right there. Are they gonna just like install it back to bring that back and put it on top of it? I kind of want to see that happen. It's like I actually did like Sorcerer's Hat only because I can tell you right now, I always kind of like felt that that was like the iconic area for Disney's Hollywood Studios more than the Tower of Terror. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me about this. And I completely understand that. Only because the reason I say that is because like every time when you walk straight through, that hat was like, in the way of like seeing the Chinatown building where the formerly, great movie ride was. So, that was like a significant, like iconic, hat that was in the middle of the stage, and then everyone took a photo of it. Now, if you go there during evening time, like the lighting of that hat was actually, amazing. Um, I enjoy like taking photo of it back in 2010, back in 2000, you know 12 and 16, so forth. And then that hat was gone right after that. But I kind of wanted that hat back, but that hat was no longer in place. So like, would you be putting uh you know back to on top of it, I guess? Like I would, like, what, like, can we get that hat back into the animation section, right, if that's the case? I do want to see that hat back. And but regardless, everyone has to feel happy that Star Wars launch bay is gone. Like, you you should not feel sad about it. There's no, like, hashtag save Star Wars launch bay. Like, you're gonna, like, there's gonna be pitchforks and torture, like, right outside of your house if that happens. It's like, for once people, like, everyone kind of agrees mutually. A little bit of short news right here. So, for those who do not know, courtesy of Theme Park Obsession, there has been a, this news has not been, like, completely resolved yet. For those who do not know, Stardust Racers actually has somebody die due to like a health complications, as also like a blunt force trauma incident. Somebody died on the ride, obviously, and that's what that means. The family hired attorney Ben Crump, the one who's like formerly in charge of like Breonna Taylor and the George Floyd lawsuit case, and won and got a lot of money on the from the lawsuits. So Ben Crump, spoke to the media this morning at a live press conference to discuss updates. According to Ben Crump, Kevin was assisted by Universal team members while getting in Stardust Racers. Ben suggests that the metal in front of where Kevin was sitting is the cause of the blunt force trauma. Ben says that Kevin's a pre-existing condition and nothing to do with his passing, and are seeking full transparency on exactly what happened. Kevin rode outer rides that day before Stardust Racers and ridden rides before his visit to Epic Universe. His family is asking for full transparency and for the coaster to remain closed while the investigation is taking place. According to Ben, Ken was not under any medication that would prevent him from going on Stardust Racers. Ben brought attention to other incidents at Epic Universe on Stardust and Hiccup Wing Gliders. That was Kevin's first ride in Stardust Racers. Kevin did not ride before. Attorneys are working with experts about max restraint system on Stardust Racers. Ben suggests even though the ride function as intended, there still could be safety issues. It's, like, this is still ongoing case. So for that time, and the obviously Stardust Racers is going to be still closed. In a foreseen term right there. Whether when would this transparency be revealed, nobody knows, because like, it's all, everyone's just speculating. And my at the moment speculation was like the max restraint system. I thought that was also implemented in the Velocicoasters on social media. I was wrong. People corrected me on that. So thank you for those who actually corrected me without like getting all toxic at me about it. I do appreciate your like educating me on that, because I'm not a roller coaster expert. I don't play Planet Coasters every day, or I don't, I never worked those kind of rides before. So obviously, I'm just an enthusiast. I'm just a hobby finder. I'm not an expert. So I do appreciate there are those out there who are very you know obsessed with those, and are willing to explain that to me. Thank you. But as of right now, I'm not gonna get too detailed to it, because it's still not a good time for anybody to, like, speculate or blame whose fault is who. Yeah, the way I see it on social media, everyone's still emotional about it, and like on the Universal's side, and then also the customers, people who are siding with the customers. Like both sides are kind of like fueling up. I don't think anybody should be really just like blaming the customers for for writing this. Like a lot of people, you have to kind of understand it's a tragedy. You have to admit it. That's just how it is. Even the handicapped person, think that he's probably invincible enough to ride this without like getting injured. It Anything can happen. And then the universal should have known about the handicapped person shouldn't be riding, and yeah, anything that can happen. And then, but it's at the end of the day, this is all the attorneys between the family, and then the universal, and then the family, and then the press release. Like that's their discussion. And then most likely is that the settlement will happen, whether it's going to be under the insurance of settlement, or under, if the bed damage is great. Whether this right is going to shut or not, I don't know. Apparently just recently, some lady also filed a lawsuit against Epic Universe and Universal, because she's apparently has like a neck injury from writing this, and says that Universal didn't help with her neck issues. Like this is like getting like stacking up right now. I don't know what it is. And this incident happened back in April 2025. So I don't know why she didn't file a lawsuit back then, but now it's getting attention. So who knows? Maybe somebody might speak up and do another lawsuit, and then like when things get worse, like if things go really south, that's where the Universal just like decides to pull the lever and says, you know what, we're shutting this whole ride down and replacing it with something else. You guys can't act like you guys are like driving us insane, and that's like the last thing that everyone wants to happen. I want both sides to be happy. Obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone wants this right to continue. That nobody wants this right to shut down and then like have it demolished. That's just how it is. So let's hope for the best, that everyone is on the mutual agreement that this gets settled without having any like uh you know damage that's going on either of them. So Star Wars actually released the trailer for the Mandalorian and Grogu, only in theaters, at May 22nd, 2026. Now, for those who do not know, this movie is like going to be released like pretty far back in May, and it's pretty late, the way I see it. But I love the way that they did this poster, because it definitely doesn't feel like the classic like Star Wars poster. Like they just or like the original Mandalorian logo. They post on every Disney Plus TV shows. Originally, this logo was a little bit different. It was like a straight line, the like horizontal Mandalorian and Grogu title that they were kind of planning to implement in D23 Expo, and then also Destination D23. They changed that. They kind of like tilted it upwards, like we're watching like the King Kong like back in 1950s or something, with the black and white, with the like the posters and everything. That it's like the like classic retro posters that you would see. And then underneath, this is the way, is also another way to the top right, and Jerry and then Grogu himself. So that like was like somebody really just like wanted to do like the whole adventures of like Indiana Jones type of like a poster right there. So I do appreciate that, the King Kong, Indiana Jones, or even like, you know, um, whatever that like the old retro poster style was. I think that was pretty good. So we're gonna like watch a little bit of trailer right here. So I'm gonna play this. Just in case if there's no audio, there's a reason why I'm like I you know.
Just in case if there's no audio.
Okay. Sorry about that. Anyways, like I'm trying to adjust the audio, but obviously I can't see it or show it because due to the copyrights, like through the Universal Music Group, I can't really like play the audio. The only way that I can show you like some of the video, good, video clips right here. Okay. All right. First of all, I do feel that like this trailer, some of the people feel that this trailer doesn't really show too much. Considering that it's, from now to May 22nd, there's a lot of room of months and days for Star Wars and Lucasfilm to make multiple trailers. A lot of people, some people have actually felt doubt about like how if this movie is going to succeed. Um, the way I see it, I feel like this movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, I it should have come out like a little bit earlier. That's just how I see it. Only because at the time, as of right now, a lot of people are probably kind of like losing interest in Star Wars. Whether you've been a big Star Wars fan and then love sequels and the Mando universe, but some people are just kind of tired of it because like they've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and all we got was like the TV shows and like probably Andor season 2, and some people were already kind of like burnt out from the Acolyte. But with the Mandalorian Grogu, I feel like this should have like um been starting right after season 3, and then they should have like just kept like recording it during the time. I'm not sure why that they waited this long, and now like it's coming out like May 22nd, 2026, which in a way, my biggest fear is that people might feel that they're going to be very disappointed the outcome of this movie. Like not a lot of people are going to attend for it. I kind of disagree at the same time, but we don't know. I think this movie will do just fine. Let's kind of recall and look back at this right now. All right, as you know, Grogu and Din Djarin are like staring at the you know remnants of the Empire base. Um, from those who do not know, Din Djarin is still on the neutral side, but he does help with the New Republic. Whenever they ask him of something, so we'll eventually like get to more scenes right there, and I think this is like going to be pretty interesting between Weaver uh, and Pedro Pascal's like the two characters relationship right there. So not like a dating relationship, but a little more like friendship. And I think that character that Sigourney Weaver is like playing will have a little bit more depth in the future franchise. And then yeah, so for those who do not know, that is I think that was a Jabba the Hutt's brother. I think, yeah, right. I think it was like the yeah, Jabba the Hutt's son. I apologize. So Jabba the Hutt's son, Rhoda, who apparently is like more muscly than his father. I don't know if that character is going to be like more iconic, or if the character is going to be villainy, or just like a kind of like a cameo appearance. But for those who do not know, don't remember, or like, who don't really care about Star Wars, Jabba the Hutt was like a kind of like a crime ring leader, that control like Tatooine and then like the like and the galaxy across this galaxy, and he was like a crime ring leader, and gave a hard time to Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and everyone else. Eventually, at the end of the like during the Return of the Jedi, Jabba the Hutt ends up dying, from Leia, um, by choking him with the like the bikini chain that I usually call it. But in this case, I guess the crime ring, family of Jabba the Hutt kind of like disbanded, or like it's just like kind of like somebody else is in charge of it. Where those who hasn't seen, the Book of Boba Fett, they kind of like Boba Fett kind of took over the crime ring and became the leader of it. So I'm assuming that the son is now either working with him, or he's like has his own clan, or he's now working for Boba. We don't know, but I assume that Rhoda will have some kind of a significant role in this movie. And we're gonna get to it. More creatures, and I guess Jin will Din Djarin, yeah, and then he's gonna be I guess he's gonna be like fighting at the gladiator type of like a fighting ring, and and I've seen the scene at Destination D23. This was like one of the scenes that I was not allowed to record. So he gets on board the AT or ATAT, or however you guys want to like. I call them ATs, and they fight like the stormtroopers in this machine, and then he blows it up and it flies out with Grogu. This is like one of the scene from the expo. They only show like a small part of it, obviously, in this trailer, but there was like a 2 to 3 minute trailer, like a scene that premiere scene that they gave us at the time. So I was kind of excited for it because I actually watched it. Um, but I know that's like I've seen some reviews. Some people have said that the CGI doesn't look too good or something like that. How would we know that though? Like that's just my opinion. I just feel like every time when Star Wars gets comes up, people always kind of like complain. Oh, this is not good. Like what is this? It's like Star Wars is kind of like dying away. Star Wars is like not doing so well. Like how would we know that if the Star Wars is not doing so well? If the Star Wars franchise is like really dying and so forth, I think Disney would definitely know this. Lucasfilm and Disney uh, would put into a mutual agreement, and that they would just no longer do Star Wars anymore. But obviously, that's not true. People still love Star Wars to a point that every time I go to the Galaxy's Edge, I see a lot of people there. Every time I go to like the Savvy's workshop, people always like line up to purchase lightsabers, or even pay for $300 for the workshop just to get their lightsaber. And then when I go to like the like a conventions, like Comic Con, every time I see Comic Con videos or Comic Con like screenshots, there's always Star Wars related. I don't care if you say, oh, like I'm not a big fan of sequel or not. At the end of the day, you love Star Wars, and that's the reason why the company knows that you will spend money for these type of like franchise. I ended up buying the Acolytes Chimere's the helmet. That took forever because you know why? Because Acolyte was supposed to be a canceled series now, so they weren't sure whether to like distribute that helmet or not. But I ended up getting it, and it arrived, and I've yet to try wearing it because I'm not sure if this head size will be like if my head will fit. But yeah, that's one of the things right there. Um, my biggest problem about like Star Wars is this: like, why, like the people who love Star Wars all the time, like there are way too many like older audience that miss their franchise so much. But at the same time, you have to understand these people also hated prequels when it first came out. Like nobody really paid attention to sequels at the time, well, because there were no sequels at the time. So every time, ever since like excuse me, episode one came out, people kept mocking Jar Jar Binks. People didn't like the young Anakin Skywalker played by Jake Lloyd. Like everything was just like kind of like bashing and bashing and bashing. And then episode two came out with Hayden Christensen. People were bashing Hayden Christensen's acting, ability when it's not really his fault. But and then the Attack of the Clones was like, had a very backlash. Revenge of the Sith backlash again, and people were like very upset about it during that time. Now, when the sequels came out, you know what's funny? Because it's like when sequels came out, Solo came out, and then like more Star Wars came out like within Disney. People kept always talking about how they miss the original, but also prequel. And then they're like, "Oh, we never complained about prequel," but I clearly remember as a day back then when I was young, everyone complained about prequel. So like people can't tell me that they didn't never complain about prequel. That's just a load of bull right there. And it has happened, and they always complain about something. So that's why I kept saying like that. Star Wars' worst enemies are the Star Wars fans themselves, because everyone can't mutually agree on something. There's always something about like how like they're not satisfied with whatever comes up. So in this case, I'd rather put a high hopes on Mandalorian and Grogu only because we haven't seen a Star Wars movie in theaters in such a long time, and all we do is like see these like shows on Disney Plus every season, and a lot of people have said, why can't we have Star Wars in the movie theater anymore? Why are we like forced to watch these like TV shows and on Disney Plus every time? What if I don't want to subscribe? And Lord behold, like that's the reason why they're putting the movie in the movie theater, because they don't want you to like feel like you have chore is to watch it. But at the same time, I kind of feel like um this is one of those things that they really should have considered a Mandalorian to be a movie in the first place instead of TV show. Same goes for Andor. Same goes for the Acolyte. I think the Acolyte would have done a better, way better job as a movie. Like whether it's a 2 hour or 2 hour or 3 hour movie. I think the Acolyte would have done a way better job as a movie version than the TV show. And and to some ways, Mandalorian, I think it would be the same thing. Like first part of the Mandalorian, second part and then third part, like a trilogy movie right there. I think that they would have done an amazing job, regardless of what it is. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm gonna talk about is, so they just announced Star Wars Visions Volume 3. For those people who do not know Visions, it Visions is a different perspective of Star Wars. What it could, it's like a kind of like a Marvel's What If, but a little bit more like a similar to it goes into the perspective of Star Wars What If. But it is done by not from the like a Lucasfilm directly themselves. It's from very famous Japanese and Korean and Chinese and Taiwanese animation studios joining in together to make their own episodes one by one. Ever since the Star Wars Visions, the first season came out, Star Wars never felt the same with like the fandoms and the fans like joining together and agreeing that the whatever the visions were providing were just absolute cinema, just like masterpiece, absolute cinema. And you have to understand, like it's really hard to get like the haters and the lovers together to agree on something. And for once, I think they both mutually agree that Visions actually has something. They're onto something, and they should really deliver it. They have so many concepts, like like the katana, like Japanese samurai style Star Wars animation is in there, and then like some lady with an arm with like multiple lightsabers, like as if like a Swiss Army knife. So we're gonna watch this clip right there, and I do apologize, in case if you can't hear it. So let me just like kind of adjust the volume right now. Give me just a second. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's do this.
Path ahead seems so bright with possibility. There are some things you can believe in, even if you can't see them. It's all connected.
Try not to die. Simple, right?
Let's go!
Trust in the force and its energy, which binds all living things. There is no balance without the light and the dark.
Holy cow! This like, yo, this is like getting so much better than season 1. That's what I'm talking about. Production IG, Trigger, and more. Like I can't tell you how good this is. And for those people who's gonna be like, negative about it, you can go like go fly a kite. You can go fly a kite. Like, how do you like dislike that? That was so good. Like, let me just like turn down the volume and then like kind of like go over it right there. Now that is an animation. Production IG, Project Studio Q, Trigger, Wit Studio. So a lot of anime fans out there, everyone like it is to a point that a lot of anime fans are, big into they know which studios they are. So like production IG is like just a default. For those who do not know production IG, let me just kind of like bring out some example. Let's see. I'm gonna look at in the Wikipedia to explain like which of these studios are. Studio Trigger. For those who do not know, Studio Trigger is actually from Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, and SSS Gridman, and Darling in the Franxx. They are very famous company, and then they just made a new panty and stocking with garter belt for 2025. Right there, they were formerly the same studio who originally worked on like was a guy next for the Gurren Lagann, and then they moved out and decided to make their own studios afterwards. So rest assured, Trigger is a very famous studio, and everyone should be well aware of like this is going to be great. And what else is right there? Production IG. For those who do not know, Production IG. Psycho Pass, Ghost in the Shell, Guilty Crown, and a bunch of other like anime such as Haikyuu. Like why am I even like talking about this? Like a lot of anime fans are gonna be like, why are you telling us this? But like for those people who do not know, it's like one of those things. Like, Kaiju number 8. So Vision is gonna be amazing. Like at this point, you're gonna be like, you don't have to sell me. And I said I'm watching. Yes, I want you to watch it. And then Jodie Turner Smith is returning to Star Wars and Visions. She played previously played Mother Anisea. I'm not sure if she's gonna play as Mother Anisea again. Like I don't know. Like what is she playing as now? Does anybody know? Like, I know that she's gonna be in like Tron Eras, but I don't know about like the Star Wars Vision. But if she, I don't know, maybe if she does play Mother Anisea again in the Vision, that'd be kind of interesting because as you know, the Acolyte season 1 kind of canceled, and it was no long, like I don't know if they're ever gonna go back to the Acolyte series, but unless this is like another way for them to try to bring the like Acolyte back and to see like if people will like it in the animation version. But I do want to see more Star Wars anime in the very future. I just kind of like don't want to be like like just like a just short clips like what if type of version perspective. I kind of want to see like a mainstream anime style of Star Wars, like such as like like Rogue Squadron or lightsaber like fight. I want it a little bit more outside of the mainstream Skywalker universe, a little bit like outside of the like from a different planet. There are some like Jedi's that were taught outside of the council, or maybe some bounty hunter thing. Who knows? Like I do want to see more anime for Star Wars. I think it will do good, and people will probably go back to the franchise a little bit more and pay attention to it. So for those people, for if Lucasfilm or Star Wars, kind of watches this, and can you like send a message along? Please make more anime Star Wars. I will assure you, people will watch it more than live action. But that's just my opinion. And then I do want to see more like the Vision's lightsaber, like as a merchandise. I kind of want to see that happen. So like looking forward to that. On the next news, I'm pretty sure you all know this person, John Boyega. He was formerly taking the role as Finn in Star Wars sequels, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. For those who who are aware, John Boyega had a very significant role in The Force Awakens as a stormtrooper who was force sensitive. Realized that the first like the whole stormtrooper and then the former empire and then the first order were doing a bad thing, and he realizes that he's whatever he's doing, he doesn't agree with this, so he escapes like and joins the resistance, and then joins with Rey to bring BB-8 to like bring the missing key to find Luke Skywalker. But as you know, the last Jedi and then eventually the Rise of Skywalker, they kind of like brought him into like outside of the Jedi perspective, and then like go on adventure as like kind of like an underling to do something else beside when Rey on the other hand was like going went out on her journey to get taught by Luke Skywalker to become a Jedi. So and then the last, the Rise of Skywalker. I think that's when the John like kind of snapped really hard, and I feel like he has every right to do so. I don't blame him for that because like the guy like really just got sidecasted in the third one. Like the Rise of Skywalker, he is no longer going on the same journey as a Rey, and then become like help both of them become Jedi to fight against the Empire Palpatine, or fight against Kylo Ren, aka Ben Skywalker. His role just became like completely different thing at the end of the series, and just like joined in on like let's demolish some like space crews with a bomb, but like as if like I don't really matter. He just became stormtrooper without uniform again. That's just how it went. And I was sitting down watching Rise of Skywalker. I kind of felt bad for him. I'm like what happened to this character? Like Finn just like kind of just like sidecasted really bad, didn't he? And for those all those years, he has never really forgiven Lucasfilm and Disney for like how he was treated along with the character. He actually like believed that he was he was gonna have like a very significant role to become a Jedi along with Rey, and then fight against Kylo Ren, as well as the First Order. And to like I said, he has every right to be upset. So he was asked what he would do if he could remake the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and he said it would be mad. First of all, we're not getting rid of Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, all these people. We're not doing that. The first thing we're going to do is fulfill the story, fulfill their legacy. We're going to make a good moment handing on the baton. Luke Skywalker wouldn't be disappearing on a rock. Hell no. Standing there and he's like a projector. I want to give those characters a way more, way more. Our new characters will not be overpowered in these movies. They just won't grab stuff and what to do with it. No, you got to struggle like every other character in the franchise. I look into old Republic stories and see what we can add to the continuation of that. I would definitely want to see Force Unleashed stories in there. I would try to expand the Star Wars universe as much as possible while respecting the lore. For expanding the lore, we have to do it in the respective boundaries and that stay true. Yeah, I guess I kind of agree in some way, but at the same time, I kind of do. I love Ray, so I kind in a way, I feel like he just kind of completely excluded Ray and also kind of criticized Ray. But in a way, as far as I'm concerned, he has zero beef with Daisy Ridley because he is well aware that she's just an actress, and she's not. And she just does whatever she does, and it's her job. And for him, he's showing the professional courtesy, so he didn't bring it up. Now, my first criticism about this the first statement is that for Han Solo, I don't think Harrison Ford would have agreed to do this. He like it's clearly obvious that Han probably well, Harrison in this case probably told Disney and Lucasfilm and Disney, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and J.J. Abrams. He's probably like, I just want to die here. Like I was supposed to die in Return of the Jedi. You brought me back. I just want to die here. Please kill my character. Don't make me continue. And when he died, the Han Solo died in The Force Awakens, I heard that Harrison was very excited and cheering for his death. Like he really didn't want to be in the movie. He hated Han Solo. He was in the interview with Conan O'Brien, and he destroyed Jordan. Like the overly effort built Millennium Falcon. He just like dropped it into like and shattered into pieces. That's how much he didn't really like his character. Like he felt that it's not his favorite, and instead he actually liked Indiana Jones. He just felt that like Han Solo didn't really have like a personality or character. It's just like like no significant like role or anything. He's just like kind of like a cowboy, just like you know, kind of like a supporting type of character for Luke, and that's how I feel. It technically is true. You know, Harrison was not a big fan of Star Wars, so he probably would have been like, no, John, I'm gonna die in the first one. Don't bring me into the second one. And you know what? Harrison just kind of like agreed to do the third one only because he's just like kind of like for like a 5 minute cutscene right there, just you know, as a cameo. But he didn't really want to have like a significant role, obviously. As for Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, I kind of do want to. I kind of do see that he would have agreed with John Boyega's suggestion, and I think he would have gone with it because Mark also was not like fully like agreeing to what you know Ryan Johnson wanted to do with the Star Wars movie. I don't 100% you know believe that you know he had a big argument with Ryan. I know some of the YouTubers like kind of like said that he said something, but I don't. But at the end of the day, it's like he said, I said. But Mark Hamill originally said that like you know he still respects the direction of Ryan Johnson did, and he'll stick with it. So in a way, I think he just like kind of mutually agreed at the end. Like he didn't want to make this into a bigger deal than it needs to. You have to keep in mind, Luke Skywalker was a key point in the character, and Mark Hamill always loved like supporting the character, obviously. And at the end of the day, like you know, they wanted to do something like different. Obviously, you know, Disney and Lucasfilm and Kennedy wanted to do something different outside of the, you know, original trilogy and the you know prequel. They wanted to like have these characters like kind of like perish away or move on with something so that they can escape out of Skywalker, you know, saga, and that was like the main focus of that. And I think that was like the reason why, you know, Mark at the end like kind of agreed that like it's like, yeah, I guess like these characters will need to like kind of move on. I mean, like it's like many years, like at least a decade after kind of story. So you know, like my character will be kind of irrelevant. I think the only time that he didn't like was like he just like kind of if he probably felt like it was like kind of like a cameo character right there. So I think that was like the main reason. But yeah, but regardless, if John suggested that he wanted to do this, I think Mark will still agree to it. Like he's not gonna disagree. He would be and he would be up for it. And then our new characters will not be overpowered in these movies. No, they just won't grab something and what to do with it. I think this is like a kind of like a passive aggressive like a tone at the J.J. Abrams and you know the Lucasfilm like a script writers of turning Rey into like a kind of like a little bit more Mary Sue, I guess. You know the Force Awakens, it kind of does show the scene where Rey um who's never been outside of the planet and been growing up all her life in the desert suddenly just knows how to pilot Millennium Falcon, suddenly knows how to like you know all these switches work and how to like fix the ships, and then all of a sudden she knows how to shoot, and then all of a sudden she knows how to pilot. So a lot of people were like kind of assuming like is she like a descendant of Luke or like descendant of like Anakin, like what's going on, and that kind of brought a lot of like guesses and speculations like who she really was. And then you know not to mention her ways of like feeling the past and like the present and the future by holding Luke's old lightsaber. um well, it's not Luke's lightsaber, it was like originally like Anakin's lightsaber. Like she just like kind of feels that. Yeah, I can understand why people would like be up like kind of like ask that question. But you know at the end of the day like it was like for that moment I kind of said, oh, I see where this is going, and I can see that you know Rey is the main character, and then she's going to be the biggest like focus into the plot. And then at the end of the scene of the like the Force Awakens, you obviously know that you know even though Finn grabbed the lightsaber to try to fight against Kylo Ren, he like kind of failed at it. and Rey was the one who actually like held the lightsaber and handled Kylo really well. So I said, you know what? I feel like the rest of the next trilogy is going to be her focusing on like becoming the Jedi, and he's just going to be like learning from her, or like I don't know where this is going to go. And where behold, Finn didn't learn anything. He just like kind of became like a real. I feel like Finn became worse than Han Solo as a character, and I felt really bad for that. Like the Last Jedi was like, I love Ryan Johnson's works, but the direction that he kind of like went with Finn was like probably like misfire is how I would say it. And then now let's look at I look to the old Republic stories and see what we can add to the continuation of that. I would definitely want to see Force Unleashed story in there. So let's kind of talk about Old Republic. Old Republic, Disney kind of like debunked that a little bit right there, but I wouldn't mind having the EA games as the BioWare's a Star Wars Old Republic or the Knights of the Old Republic series. I would not mind about that. I would be 100% in for it. I would, if they ever do it, like I'll support that. If should that ever come into place. Force Unleashed, I actually like the game. Like it's fun. Galen Merrick is a interesting character, but also he is kind of no different from Rey, to my opinion. It's like a kind of like a Mary Sue type of character. If you're gonna criticize like that, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Rey's a Mary Sue," like like the legacy would never like write such thing. But for those who do not know, Luke Skywalker was kind of Mary Sue. Anakin Skywalker was kind of Mary Sue, and then Galen Merrick was also Mary Sue, in my personal opinion. Everyone has his like own like a focus story and like really talented in something, really does everything so well. Like they can do no good, wrong or good, like bad or whatever. So, you know, Mary Sue is like all over the place in the Star Wars series. So I don't honestly like care if if anything. The only reason I would say Force Unleashed would not have happened is because um with the direction that Obi-Wan season 1 was going, and then Rebel 1 was there, Andor was there, uh the Acolyte was like being in place. So all of those, like it kind of like retcons the idea of Force Unleashed. If should they not exist, then Force Unleashed is like kind of is okay, but at the same time, I think the story might have changed a little bit. Um, because Force Unleashed like story was a little bit inaccurate. I know a lot of like fans have actually argued that the Force Unleashed was not that great. Like before, this was like before sequel was made. People gave a really harsh criticism about like how Force Unleashed story like didn't really do so well and didn't really match with the original legacy. So that was like another thing right there. They kind of considered it as like a fan fiction. The last news that we're gonna talk about is actually my Avatar, Fire and Ash, and I don't know if for those people who actually been on like my OG55 stream, Avatar, Fire and Ash, well, Avatar like the series itself, I've always like been a big huge fan of it, and truth be told, like I was not a big fan of it like during the first launch of Avatar. I think I got into it eventually, like after Disney's Animal Kingdom, Pandora was released, and then that's when I like started getting into it a little bit more. Um, and then the Way of Water just like kind of convinced me that this movie would be great, only because like I didn't know like a single thing about this movie, only because like I thought everything was just like done through CGI, like like kind of like MCU style, but apparently James Cameron has a very different perspective of how he views of CGI. And the Way of Waters, the direct like the way they were filming underwater and then under the pool, how like make a baby born underwater. I thought that was like the biggest like revolutionary thing that I've seen in my life. And I heard that the what is it, the battle on at the Avatar is like a way of water, like the ship where the ship was sinking and so forth. Excuse me, like I'm a little bit like I've been having headache a little bit, so so those when the ship was sinking, they had a film exactly the way that James Cameron originally did the Titanic when the ship was sinking, and it legitimately had people go on top of that water, and then like and then have people like slide down, and then like the water falling all over the place. He made it so realistic to a point that some of the people who were doing the movie and they being casted as like extra and like Kate Winslet, they were scared as shit to a point that like like they thought he was crazy right there. But at the end of the day, you know um good directors have to be crazy to make that film successful. And a lot of people kind of bash Avatar, like since the first one, about how awful the movie is. If the movie was so awful, then why does it have like the world's history record of selling the highest gross box office rating? That's because they don't know like how popular this movie is. This movie is like just revolutionary good, and then the Way of Water, it might not have suppressed the first one. It still is also in the top three, and you know that like James Cameron doesn't play games right there. And when I heard that the rumor that the Fireland is going to be the villains and everything, it was actually James Cameron that like kind of like hinted that was going to be the case. So during Disney D23 Expo, I kind of like slipped, I said to OG55 and Italiano George, like who's in charge of Halo Italiano channel right now. So I said, hey, with the whole Avatar exhibition going on at D23 Expo, I have a feeling we're gonna see the third movie related to Fireland tonight. And lo and behold, James Cameron did announce that. We're gonna watch the trailer because James, like I said, James Cameron don't play games. Like he actually like see this movie as like a whole franchise of his like long awaited ambition of like what he wanted to create originally. So we'll see right now. I'm gonna play this right now.
This is the only pure thing in this world.
How do you see that? Like the age, all the CGIs that James Cameron does in here, it's like nothing related to AI. Like it's all pure CGI, and then like all people doing like a natural like acting. Oh man, I kind of want to watch see him do the Alita sequel. Woo! It's like a jellyfish, like a balloon fighter. What the hell is that? Is that like a water shrine or like all whales from the second one? Now these are the villains.
Sully stick together. No, the other one. Sully never quits. That's right. Sully's never quits. Do you still live? Would every human being on Earth could live here without a mask?
What? Hold on. This spider just like breathe without the mask now? Holy Jesus Christ. Wait a minute. Go back to that right now. Like, what? What?
Sully never quits. That's right. Sully's never quits.
Oh, Jesus. They figured out a way how to like make humans breathe.
Do you still live?
What? And now he can link to like banshees and everything? Oh my god! Oh my god! No way! This changes the whole game of like humanity right here. And Jake Sully is right. Humans, like Navis are fucked if this happens.
I want to spread your fire across the world. You need me.
Oh my god, that douchebag is like coming back.
I'll kill you. I swear.
Wait, who is this? Who is he telling that he's gonna kill you? What? Hold on a second. Am I missing? Oh my god! Look, hold on. Oh, yeah, that's the daddy right there. Well, technically fake daddy.
I'll kill you. I
So the way I see this right now, I feel like the Fire and Ash is definitely going to be one of the best Avatar movie. Like out of the first one and the second one, this definitely has more action packed into it. This actually has like a very interesting lore that just like expanded. As you just noticed, Spider can breathe. That actually changes the whole game of this story. And then this may change the plot where like Jake Sully or Neytiri's fate might be changed. Like one of them are gonna die. Like I assure you that I have a feeling that Jake Sully's the one who's gonna die, and then Neytiri is gonna live on, or Neytiri dies and Jake Sully has to raise the kids and into the future. But for those who do not know, James Cameron actually wants to continue 4, 5, and 6, and assuming the sixth one is the last one. So we got like I guess a Jake Sully arc that's going to be first, second, and third, and then we're gonna have like the character that's going to be played, the little girl character that's going to be played by Sigourney Weaver, who's what's her name? Definitely not Dr. Grace Augustine, obviously. Let's see. Fire Dash. Kiri, yeah, I think that's going to be the arc of Kiri in the future. And then Spider is still going to be like following the path with their friends and Sully. And I feel like Spider, who's been like rejected among like other Navis, I feel like Spider has a very significant role, not only just like able to survive and breathe on breathe in the air. I think he's gonna be like a key character with Kiri, and they're both are gonna create a new hybrid in the future and go from there. Because the way I see it, this is about like the humans that have to mutually agree with Navis to coexist with each other in the future. At the time, Navis are kind of rejecting humans because humans are like kind of invading the planet to steal their resources and like hurting other Navis and destroying the planet. But now people like Spider, who rejects those humanity and wants to coexist with the Navis, this is where like it gets like some of the other humans are trying to coexist with the Navis as well too. So this is going to be like a huge game changer for them. If they figured out how to live like breathe in the air and then like able to link with the banshees and other creatures, but just by using their hair, that means is that they don't no longer need to be Navis, and then also live with them happily, if anything. But at the same time, the Navis who lived all their lives in that planet is not a good news for them, because like they're gonna like eventually like say like, what's the point of us living? And like, why are you like, that's not okay for you. Like, this is our home. But at the same time, like Jake Sully already is kind of like an immigrant right there. So like, who knows? We'll see what happens. But as of right now, like this movie that's coming December 19th, this is gonna be like one of the best movie in this year, and most likely, I have a feeling that this is actually going to beat the box office. That's just how I feel. I don't like. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not the one. Like, I don't know if that's going to beat it, because some people might feel that they don't want to kind of like watch the first two to catch up their third one, so they're not probably not going to bother watching third. But like I can guarantee you the first twos are actually good movies. So like, if I hope you will like reconsider about watching them, and then watching the third one, because like this whole Fire Clan is just like really badass right there. I don't know what to tell you. But with that said, like we covered a lot of news today, and obviously a lot of new movies and trailers that just came out this week. So I'm very excited for it. I definitely want to, see more in the future. So thank you for watching the stream. I know there were like a lot of people that came in and out, just to watch like what I do. I do appreciate your time. Be sure to subscribe, and then also follow me on X or Blue Sky. Thank you for watching, and then we'll talk about more on the Disney news in the future. And I'll cover a little bit more, and like any other possible speculations that might come into the park. I will probably also like kind of discuss like you know any like other like franchise that may come into the park, that like that would be appropriate for certain parks. Obviously, at the end of the day, like some of these like rides and the IPs, some people might not like mutually agree to it. Uh, and then we'll see like whether we can like reach an agreement in the future. Thanks for watching. We'll see you another time.